Notary. I hope everybody is having a wonderful night tonight. So we had 4 closings today. They were all amazing, but I had one customer that was just having a hard time. And so I wanted to come to you and make it kind of funny because when my kids were growing up, they loved a book called Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. If you haven't read it and you're a parent, it's absolutely fantastic. It's a wonderful way to kind of explain to kids, and it turns out tonight, notaries, that sometimes everybody has a bad day. And that certainly happens to our clients, right? People are making some of the biggest deals of their lives. They're also dealing with maybe financial issues. That's one of the things I've been seeing crop up a little bit more lately to be attuned to, is that these aren't just deals that are about getting a new home, which is a big enough bit of pressure, right? Sometimes they're deals about how can I navigate getting money out of my house so I can stay afloat. When that's the occasion, especially for a refinance, or maybe they just want to do projects around their house that are going to be really meaningful to them. So it's important that this goes well for them. Whatever the reason, sometimes we all have customers that are having terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days. And it's one of our privileges to be a part of that meeting as much as it's a privilege for us to be a part of the meeting where people are so happy and they're moving into their new home and they're newly pregnant, glowing with perfectly behaved kids. Most of what we do is somewhere in between. But I wanted to give you some tips for when you're dealing with people who are really struggling, because we can help, right? The first thing I think is important is to try to be understanding. And I don't mean confirming what they're concerned about or having trouble with. I just mean being kind, really, when I say being understanding. And I teach some techniques in our loan signing course that can help you navigate this if this isn't intuitive to you. It is not intuitive to most people because conflict is something we like to avoid, especially in a professional setting, right? We don't expect people to be yelling or mad or angry or crazy at work. But that can happen. And so the first thing is, of course, instead of being like, well, that's just crazy. Why would you say that? Let's not do that. Let's be understanding. The second thing is to just listen, whether they're right or wrong. I mean, I have probably listened to questions I know the answer to in the first 2 seconds of the question most of my career. Here's an example. People want to get ahead of themselves and into what's important to them. And in a way, you need to let them navigate that. But we don't get their banking information to send them a wire first step of the closing process, right? We show them the closing disclosure or the settlement statement or the HUD statement. Here are the numbers. Let's review the numbers and make sure that's okay. At least once or twice a week, have someone go, I have a really important question and no one has explained this to me. And I think it's very unprofessional. I'm sure it's been explained to them. I'm sure no one has been very unprofessional with them, but what's coming through is their fear. What's coming through is they need to know how they're going to get their money, and they don't know immediately. And instead of going, I know what you're going to ask, let me help you right away, let them finish. Listen, just listen and be still. And sometimes it takes people quite a bit of time to get around to asking the actual question. Not everyone is a succinct communicator. People are nervous in some of these meetings. And so I'll have someone go on for like 3 minutes and I'll say, goodness, what a day you're having. Did you have a question that I can help you with? Because they will just complain for 3 solid minutes. And my goal is, of course, within that complaint, there must be a nugget somewhere where I can make a difference in their day. Listening made a difference. That's great. Being understanding and kind made a difference. That's great. But the real rubber hits the road. We are making a difference as a team player in this relay race of notary loan signing is giving them solutions. And only solutions within our box, right? But finally, they'll go, yeah, I need to know how I'm going to get the money. I'm owed $147,000 out of this. Excellent question. So glad you asked. We'll be wiring that directly into your account. And so at the end of the paperwork, as long as you are comfortable and approve and sign and date all the paperwork, there'll be a form that you fill out and we'll process all of that then. Oh, okay, thanks. And if you're patient and kind and listen and help them find solutions, doesn't still change their no good, very bad day. And that's okay too. You're not there to be a ray of sunshine, right? And that was one of the next things is to communicate. And this tip about communication isn't with the people at the table, is to communicate with your other players involved. You need to make sure that your loan signing officer knows what's going on. You need to make sure that your escrow officer, your title company, obviously, real estate agents probably already know what's going on, but make sure that everybody involved knows that for whatever reason, there is some tension, some concern, and some feelings that are really high at this moment for this person, and that we can all, as a team, come together to make sure they're being presented with solutions in a timely manner that really change the game for them, that really make them finally feel seen and heard, if that's a possibility. And last but not least, it's really important to stay in your lane. What do I mean by stay in your lane? You cannot make promises. Please hear me when I say this. Oh, I'm sure if they told you they were going to remove the appraisal fee, they'll remove it. Stay in your lane. Your job is to make that appointment as efficient, effective, joyful, and surprisingly easy as possible. To get the paperwork as accurately done to perfection or follow up until it is, and to make sure you're giving your title agency, your loan officers, your real estate agents, and your mortgage brokers everything they need to be successful in the next leg of this race. That includes keeping their customer as happy as possible. That does not include making promises that you have no business making. Here's a silly example. Today, we had a very large group of people come in for a young lady buying her first home. It was awesome, but there were 7 people there. So, number one, I moved the meeting into a larger room. I wanted everybody to be comfortable. Number two, I focused on her, which is kind of hard sometimes because everybody was kind of chitty chatty, which was actually part of the fun of it. And then afterwards, I let them have the room to visit. All of that was in my lane. But then this is an office that I'm super familiar with. I've been in all the time. And I said, can I get anybody a water or soda? And someone really wanted a water. So I went to the refrigerator and there was no cold water. There were cases and cases and cases of regular water. So I got her a bottle of regular water. But it never occurred to me when I came in, I checked all my closing rooms. I made sure I had pens. I made sure I had all the tools that we teach you to use. I did not make sure there was water in the refrigerator. So I was in my lane, but I was still a little, and she was fine. She didn't care, but it taught me to remember to say, would you like me to check and see if we have any water or soda we can get you? Or check before I offer, right? The biggest thing to do is not to promise. I'm sure it's fine if you don't sign that. I'm sure it's not a big deal if we delay a day. I'm sure it's not a big deal. None of that is our business. None of that is within our control. And when we get out of our lane in an attempt to provide good customer service, that's when we get in trouble because your heart's probably in the best place, isn't it? You're thinking, I just want to help this person. But what's happening instead is you're making a promise that's going to leave them even more upset, and you're doing things that you can't do. So stay in your lane, be nice, communicate, and try to find solutions for people, realizing all along that way, it may still be a horrible, terrible, no good, very bad day. And some days are just like that, and it's okay because this day too will pass. I can't wait to see you back here more tomorrow live around 5. Right now, we have 3 closings scheduled. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you stay tuned.